All right, guys. So we've got some really exciting news, and I really want to do this with you guys because I've been waiting for this for a while now. We've got proper gameplay footage of both bits of the campaign as well as mainly the tactical battles here that we're going to take a close look at. And that's what this video today is all about. We're going to have a look at all these new things that we haven't seen before, the beautiful little UI elements we're going to get into here now, and then finally get into those tactical battles that look just so good. So very quickly, let's go over these UI elements we haven't seen before. At the very top of the screen, we can see some resources I don't think we've seen before. We've got currency. It looks like a construction resource. We've got a pool of units that you can recruit from, as well as officers. I'm pretty sure this 393.4, that's an officer pool, which is quite cool. And then you've got caps for your armies and navies as well. So lots of big caps here, which is really nice to see. Lots to manage. Very encouraging on the campaign side. On the top left, you've got some interesting buttons. You've got the construction view. You've got, I think, a view of like your resources or resource production across the campaign map as well. You've got supply lines, armies, the campaign map, diplomacy, and I'm guessing this final one here is news or maybe like edicts or something like that. And then bottom left, you've got a city view, which is really cool as well. So you can see, for example, this 100% colonial US states. That's going to be your loyalty view. Each region is going to have its loyalty kind of meter and percentage, and you can influence that through hopefully like espionage and propaganda, things like that. You've got Leicester, Massachusetts Bay, and it looks like it has a population view as well. Construction points. You've got buildings, which look really good. Looks like administration building, barracks, university, stables, and a blacksmith. And then obviously each city produces ammo and provisions, and you can recruit from each city as well. So each of these regiments have their own infantry, their own artillery. You've got, I'm guessing, like supply wagons as well attached to an army, whether it's a garrison or obviously a roaming army as well, like Washington here or Lafayette. You've got a variety of management and engagements that the player can do with armies as well, which is really cool. And then the final thing I want to mention before we move on here is the objectives. Top right, you can see capture Montreal, capture Quebec, capture Boston. These are really nice, I think, to have a kind of a mission objective, something to drive you forward, progression in your campaign. It could either be, this is a sandbox campaign. You can do your own thing, conquer this region or that, whatever you want to do. But I think there's a really nice kind of historical setting here and to thrust you into the American Revolution here with the various objectives that did happen. The assault on Boston, some really, really great stuff here, I think, in terms of like campaign, just overall objectives and victory conditions and stuff like that as well. So really, really great stuff to see here. So let's move this forward, see what happens, and we'll get into the tactical battles as well. You can see that skirmishing and the ranged kind of power that you've got per armies. Each regiment has their own officers: Ephraim, Houston, Hosea, Godfrey. Each army has its own name as well. All, I'm hoping, like customizable and editable, of course. And you've got various like cities dotted around that are interesting. Fort Stevens. You've got Salem above Boston, which is like a port city. So you've obviously got varieties of different cities as well, which is quite cool. Naval units moving around. You've got Washington, Lafayette, various different regiments pushing forward and surrounding Boston here, which is really, really exciting. Honestly, the scale of this and the number of different moving parts, it's just fantastic. I love that you don't have to have all of your regiments tied to one major general, right? They can all kind of divide out and create this overall view of what the battle's all about. That's what we see here. So the British forces are sallying out of Boston. The American forces have them surrounded, and now a battle is actually about to happen, or at least happening. And you can kind of dive into this either in manual battles or just stay out here as well. And as I said in that last video, this red bar, this red square that you see around the battle, that's the limits of, that's the play area, and everything in yellow is going to be your reinforcement range. So as long as you've got this battle going on in manual, you can see your other armies in real time will be catching up and entering that reinforcement area, which is really, really cool. Just such exciting, interesting mechanics that we haven't had this in Total War in a while, so it's really, really great to see a lot of this stuff. It makes me really enthusiastic and excited about this. So you can see all the enemy forces here and their regiments, their kind of level of officers and how they're doing in the battle. If you're not engaging in it, you can just stay out here and watch and see it unfold. And then as of course you've got units coming into that yellow circle, you've got the reinforcements coming in as well. Really nice little loading screen there. I love that they're sticking to quotes. You've got a nice little battle map overview. And then here we are in the tactical battles. And how good does this look, guys? Honestly, like compared to UG Civil War, this is such a more immersive, detailed, very, very detailed, graphically upscaled looking battle here. So really, really nice stuff. You've got a variety of terrain textures, trees, different beautiful colors. It's September, it's autumn. Really nicely depicted. You've got various moving elements, moving armies. You can zoom in like that. That's absolutely beautiful. Dragoons charging into an American line there. It doesn't look like, okay, yeah, they're super effective. They're absolutely demolishing that unit now. That unit is routing as well, which is really cool. But look at this. I mean, you can really get a sense of the scale of the battles you can get into. And this is just the start of it, right? You've got Boston is not too far away, so British forces are going to be sending reinforcements very, very quickly. This looks one-sided right now to the Americans, but on the other hand, the British are going to be coming in with more reinforcements. It's going to even out, and that's the kind of foresight you need to have as a general. You know, it's not just about what's here. Reinforcements are going to be barreling through and supporting these armies to make this an even bigger battle than what we see here right now. So it's really exciting. We see artillery here quite close to that front line. You've got various lines in the front as well, kind of pinning the British into this kind of almost like a box. It looks like the Americans are losing this left flank a little bit here. Infantry pushing forward. The Dragoons look pesky as hell. I mean, they're properly going into as many units as they can here, taking casualties as well, though. So it's not all like fun and games. You really have to be careful with how you use your Dragoons. And then you've got your general, of course, Washington staying back here. It looks like he's got a bit of an area of influence, so keeping him close will affect units in proximity with morale, with abilities, I'm sure as well. You can see kind of like just generally drawing your attention to the UI as well. You've got like Alex Petrov, he's the leader of this regiment here. Different leaders as they come into the battle as well. You can see here reinforcements entering the battlefield have different officers leading them with different levels of experience and battle experience, abilities. It's just so detailed. It looks absolutely fantastic. You've got routing British units as well. Artillery has a huge effect. I love what I see here. Honestly, this is just such interesting gameplay. There you've got Washington in position now. You've got the right flank is a little bit kind of messy. The only thing I've seen so far that isn't quite as interesting or you know as positive at the moment is there's a lot of management here. There's multiple lines, 4 lines of battles happening here between different units. I think if you're playing this in real time without slowing it down, it's going to be very difficult to manage all these units around, having these lines as rigid as possible, reacting to the dragoons that are flanking around, harassing your units, entering the battlefield, etc. So there's definitely a real interesting challenge for the player in terms of the scale of the battle and how you're going to be managing all of these units. I mean, this must be 3 or 4 dozen units here on the American side at least. And it doesn't look like the AI is taking control of any of them either. So this is all under your control. So maintaining those lines, recognizing when a unit is going to be routing, reinforcing them with a new unit, that's going to be so important. So important to have reserves and be able to do that. So really interesting stuff here. Look at this, British Dragoons again in the back line. It doesn't look like the player here is reacting to this Dragoon unit enough. He's bringing some Dragoons of his own right now. He's got other units coming around, infantry units to try and challenge him. We've got more reinforcements coming into the battle with artillery, with infantry. You can also see on the UI in these unit cards, the green bar, which must be obviously the overall health of the unit, how much casualties they've taken, but also ammunition. I think Yes, red is ammunition, so you can see how much ammunition they have left. I wonder, I don't see anywhere whether there's a replenishment, a resupply mechanic here for each of your units. Maybe if there's a, I'm sure you have supply wagons here. So if there's a supply wagon that you can retreat to and resupply to get back to the front line, that would be really cool as well. Really interesting little mechanics like that to think about. You've got, obviously, you can see the various visual effects with smoke effects that look really good. I don't see smoke coming out of the cannons very much, which is the only kind of like a bit of a complaint that you could have maybe. There's a lot of smoke coming out of infantry and the line warfare you have there. But cannons, I think, could have a bit more smoke, a bit more visual effects going on their side of things. And then I guess the only other thing that is a little bit on the jarring side at the moment, maybe this is just, you know, early access, is still being worked on, obviously, is AI. At the beginning of the battle, we did see a lot of kind of like infantry line up for that line warfare by the AI, but now kind of like broken routing, trying to get back into the battle. It doesn't look like they're kind of like structured enough. There's not a lot of like line gameplay with like retreating units. It's all just kind of like very meshed up and a little bit more on the messy side of things. Enemy dragoons just running around, not quite, in my opinion, engaging as much as perhaps they should with some of those infantry units that you can flank around. So I imagine, you know, all these things are going to get ironed out, of course, but AI in particular would be a really good, interesting place to have a bit more aggression here. Maybe, I mean, you could have the British, instead of just forming right back into the front line, to have a bit more of a defensive position around their artillery, and making use of like terrain like the forests here, patches of trees as well. But that's the only thing I would say. Otherwise, there's some really, really great stuff here that I'm very excited about. I hope you're as excited as I am. I mean, more gameplay footage would be great like this to see. And of course, hopefully we get a bit more news about early access release in the next few months from the team as well. But that's going to be it for today, guys. So I just wanted to have a quick look at, you know, this gameplay video that's just come out, the various new bits of information and UI and mechanics that we can see out of the campaign, as well as the tactical battles that look really good, and my kind of impressions and commentary about all of this and why I think it's looking really, really promising this far into development. And hopefully we get to find out more about an early access release date very soon. I really hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative. If you did, give it a like and drop any thoughts or questions in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you think about UG American Revolution so far and all the gameplay footage we've seen here in my commentary, my impressions. What do you think? I'd love to hear down in the comment section below. Subscribe for more content just like this, especially around UG American Revolution, but also just strategy gaming in general and Total War and others. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.